Mastering AI fluency is key for every modern strategy. Your new strategic sidekick is here, making complex data crystal clear. Bridge the gap and guide the way. With AI, you'll win the day. Enhance your value, see what's new. AI fluency for me and you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our tools and techniques this evening. We are welcoming Liana. She is going to talk about AI fluency for analysts and strategists, and it's going to be a very interactive session for all of us. So get ready to move a little bit into the AI world. So we call it our strategic sidekick. There's a cheat sheet that will be pasted in the chat. It's just to show you all the everyone is on mute, cameras are off, just so that we can run it fluently in terms of the presentation. Our team is going to share some of the YouTube links. So this meeting is, the presentation is not shared with all the attendees, but it is uploaded into YouTube, and you will find all of that under the IIBA SA site. And then also our professional development. If you're interested in presenting and participating in one of the tools and techniques, please put up your hand and you're welcome to send an email to that address that our team is going to put in the chat for us. Also, we've got a Facebook and an Instagram page, which you can follow. We've got LinkedIn, which is very active, and that's where we share all our events and upcoming webinars and anything that happens in the chapter. Alrighty, if there's any unclarity, you're welcome to just paste in the chat and one of our facilitators will attend to it. Right, now to move on to who is Liana. So Liana is an educator and a CFP, very well qualified. She's got advanced certifications that carries across business intelligence, data science, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. So as the founder of LPJ Analytics and LPJ Academics, which was recently launched, and I would really want you to go pay that site a visit and sign up. And there's also LPG Financial Services. She leverages an MSc. With over 25 years of experience in business data analysis to bridge the gap between complex data and strategic planning, she designs those educational programs that empower individuals to master the modern technical skills and transform the information into actionable insights. Welcome, Liana, and we're really looking forward to what new AI skills we're going to learn tonight. Floor is yours.
Thanks, Chrisan, and thank you everybody for joining us and welcome. I think before I start with anything, this whole presentation tonight, I wrote the words, the music, the slides. So apart from the actual content that I typed out, every single thing was done with AI. And I thought it appropriate. You know, it was fun putting all of this together, and I did steal here and there from one of the courses that Chrisan mentioned. Now, whether you are building complex enterprise architectures or guiding a client's financial future, our core job is making sense of information So tonight we are going to talk about AI fluency. We are looking this specifically for analysts and strategists, but also for anybody else. So I'm going to try tonight, see if we can cut through the noise and show you how to turn this technology into a strategic sidekick. I'm going to run through some slides, what I see as AI fluency and appropriate. Then we'll go into some demonstrations. It's after all tools and techniques, the session. And then we'll come back and finish in the slide deck. So and I can't see anything of Zoom, so I can't switch on my camera. So I'm stuck here between other screens, but I am here. What is AI and what is it not? I think that is the important question that we need to answer. So before you can work with AI intelligently, you need to separate the reality from hype. The key principle, AI augments your thinking. It does not replace responsibility for your decisions. It's a system trained on patterns in data to generate or predict outputs. It's a tool that produces probabilistic responses. It's highly capable of accelerating certain cognitive tasks like exploring options, finding patterns. When used well, it's a thinking partner. I love brainstorming with it. I've done it this afternoon, as a matter of fact. But remember, it's only as good as the data and the prompts it receives. It's crucial to remember what it is not. It's not a source of truth or fact. It does not replace human reasoning or judgment. It is not capable of understanding context the way humans do. We cannot take the output we receive, we cannot take it as accurate. Remember also, it's using algorithms to make predictions. The inputs is that worldwide source of data. It could misinterpret. I wrote an article on LinkedIn or a post the other day. If you say it, we often say, this is cool. Cool to an AI chatbot, whatever you want to call it, will mean temperature, unless you put more context into the picture. So you've got to be very specific on what you ask and then, actually question the output. It's not a decision maker and it makes errors. And it sounds extremely confident. It always knows. Where does AI fit into your work? It's not universally useful, but in the right context, it's a genuine accelerator. I like to use a 60-40 rule. You can use AI for 60% of the tasks, of the jobs. 40%, that's you, us. It can generate options, structuring thinking, reducing friction. But judgment, accuracy, accountability, empathy. So AI can help you with summarizing data, spotting patterns, generating hypotheses. You still have to interpret those findings, verify it. You've got to draw the final conclusions. It can help you with decision support, listing options, surfacing trade-offs, stress testing. You will still have to frame the question, apply the judgment, make the call. Somebody's waiting to be admitted, please. Creativity. AI can help with generating drafts, brainstorming ideas, proposing structures. You've got to evaluate the quality, ensure the accuracy, apply the professional voice. I'm not sure if you know, I think it was an accounting firm, auditing firm, that gave a client a AI-generated report, and there were actually some mistakes in it, and it ended up in court. Operations. AI can help with drafting documents, reformatting content, synthesizing information. You have to approve that output. You've got the ultimate responsibility. Mystifying AI. Common myths. Many professionals underuse or misuse AI. And I call it because their mental model of it is wrong. So let's look at some common myths. The myth versus reality. We think AI understands what we mean. The reality is it just matches patterns in your words. There is no genuine comprehension. We think more detailed prompts are better. Actually, clear, structured prompts outperform long, complex ones. We think AI is confident that it must be right. The reality is AI outputs can be fluent, persuasive, and completely wrong. We worry AI will replace our roles. It replaces tasks, not roles. Roles that add judgment remain critical. Think back to what I said, 60-40. We think we need to be technical. The most valuable AI skill is structured thinking, not coding. We don't have to know the algorithms. We just need to appreciate that it is an algorithm that's trying to interpret what we're asking and giving us an output to the best of the ability based on all the data available out there. We think AI is neutral. It always reflects the biases present in its training data. The most dangerous AI user is the one who trusts the output without questioning it. The most effective user treats it as a rigorous thinking partner. So AI as your thinking partner. Shifting from AI as magic to a colleague. I called it the sidekick. We need to shift from seeing AI as magic to a colleague. How you frame your relationship with AI completely changes how good your results are. Many start by using it as a research assistant. It is fast, but occasionally unreliable, so you must always verify. The shift in practice is moving to treating it like a junior analyst, useful for first drafts, but requiring your review. The ultimate goal is treating it as a thought partner or devil's advocate, using it to challenge your thinking, surface alternatives, and stress test assumptions. Countering biases. Awareness is not enough. You must implement specific human interventions into your workflow to counteract these biases. Digital fluency. So yes, it's not only AI fluency, it's also digital fluency, and my favorite, data literacy. Digital fluency requires designing friction into your process. Friction forces you to pause, think, engage your judgment rather than sliding smoothly into error. We've got automation bias, accepting a financial forecast or risk score without checking it. Prompt the AI to explain its reasoning step by step. Verify data points against a secondary, non-AI source. Confirmation bias. Force the friction. Ask, what are the 3 strongest arguments against strategy A? What are the blind spots? Anchoring bias. Using an AI-generated structure for a presentation and only tweaking the adjectives. Outline your own high-level structure before generating the AI draft. Compare. I'm going to try and address some of these through the demonstration. You must recognize scenarios where AI should be removed from the primary decision-making loops. High-stake interpersonal. Things like client negotiations, performance reviews, require empathy, emotional intelligence that the algorithm cannot replicate. Novel black swan events. AI predicts on historical data. If a situation has never happened before, its pattern matching will likely produce dangerous hallucinations. I often see writing and talking about using Monte Carlo simulations. To me, the irony is always for a Monte Carlo simulation to work properly, you need sentiment. Where does the sentiment come from? How do you obtain it? So I'm going back to where does the data come from? A typical event for me was, or situation rather, the previous elections, government elections that we had. I've not seen a sample size of more than about 3,000 people, whereas we are a few million voters in the country. Where do you get the sentiment properly represented to do forecasting? I actually tried as a, call it a capstone project. I actually tried to do a prediction just for KZN, and I failed miserably. I didn't take the strength of the MK party into consideration. It was actually quite funny. AI can summarize ethical frameworks, but it cannot bear the weight of a moral choice. That burden belongs exclusively to human leaders. Transparency, explainability. They are not just technical features, they're professional obligations for the people using them. The explainability test. If you cannot explain in plain terms how a recommendation was reached or what evidence supports it, you do not have sufficient understanding to act on it. AI raises the bar, it does not lower it. So in practice, if you use AI to draft a financial analysis, for example, you must be able to justify every figure. If it summarizes a regulatory document, you must verify the summary is complete and accurate, not just plausible. And let's not forget all the rules and regulations and the laws. We've got the data protection law, GDPR, POPIA, CCPA, professional codes, employment law, financial regulation, intellectual property. I always say, if you say, shall I share this? The minute you say that, can I upload it into a chat GPT? Can I attach it? Unless you are in a enterprise safe work environment, the minute you say, can I, don't. The answer to me is very straightforward, don't. If you even think about, is it safe to share? Simple, sanitize, create dummy data, static data, Professional integrity. Responsible AI use is not just compliance, it is professional integrity applied in a new technological context. This means navigating ethical complexity, transparency, and accountability as core components of your digital fluency. The question isn't what AI can do for me. It's what do I choose to own? Because doing it myself is what makes me the professional I want to be. Trust is built through human presence. Ethical judgment cannot be delegated. Original thinking emerges from lived experience. In high-stakes decisions, human judgment must be primary. So let's ask better questions. Digital fluency is fundamentally a questioning practice. We need to evolve our questions from can AI do this to should AI be involved. You are maturing in your practice when you become frustrated by AI limitations before most people notice them. And you are skeptical of outputs before most people think to question them. At this point, I'm going to stop here and move into some demonstration. So I'm going to stop sharing because I need to skip over into another screen. I don't know if are there any questions while I'm playing around here.
Thanks, Liana. While you're doing that, let's get some chats going. I know most of you, I'm hoping, saw the survey the poll that Liana shared earlier, or that I shared earlier this week. So that was just in terms of when you hear that term AI fluency, what actually goes to your mind, so maybe you can put it in the chat as you can let a few people, or you can respond. What's your common answer? ChatGPT, automation, productivity, risk, uncertainty. Any one of those four. When you hear AI fluency, you can see what some of the reactions are, or just think about it. Then, who here has used AI tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, or Gemini in the past week? I can, for one, tell you that I use it every day. I even use it on my phone. So for a shortcut, let's see what's the activity. I'm sure there's lots of answers coming up.
Is there?
I'm checking. We've got a very quiet audience this evening.
To try and find the share button.
Oh, is that you looking for something? Ask AI to give you. And maybe something else to think about. What is the most useful thing AI has helped you do so far? Think about some examples, and you might pick up quite a few from this presentation this evening, when Liana's done quite an excellent job of using AI to demonstrate what the possibilities are and how we can apply it. Maybe something else to think about. What is the one task in your job that you wish AI could help you with? I can think of a few. Think of some of those use cases in your everyday life that you would really, really like. I work on some of the free versions due to restrictions in our company, and I would really like some assistance with a process flow. When you sometimes review that as is flow, and then to start reconstructing that to be, just to get to that framework and design, and then dig into the rules. That could be very useful. Yes, go for it.
Sorry, Christian, there's a hand from Garabo. I think he
Oh
wants to
yeah,
ask.
cool. Go for it.
Yeah, so I also would like to use the full extent of AI because sometimes when I need to map things or understand costs or also understand the current to be, because sometimes stakeholders will say this is how it needs to be, but I'm like, but where do I start from? And then they say this is what the process looks like, and the process looks like something, a combination of a UI,
Yes.
UML, BPN, and I'm like, I don't even know where to begin. And their scope is
Yeah.
also very limiting. So I would love AI to pick that apart as it gets more sophisticated.
Yeah, or maybe just give you some of that guidance, because remember, like Liana also said, we can't just rely on that, you know. So
Yeah.
we've got to be clever about how we use it. But just that, for that framework, especially if you've got pockets of information coming from everywhere, and you know, back in the day, we used to take a piece of paper and just draw these little bubbles and arrows and things. You map it together, but it's nice if the tool can actually just give you that framework, and then you can start making it look pretty, and you can then also verify and test against it, you know, if that is actually the sequence of events that should potentially happen, because you know the system.
Yeah.
So very good point. Yes, Liana, are you ready? I see you've got your screen up.
Can you see the screen? Like I say, I see nothing.
Yeah, I can. So
Okay, excellent. Thanks everybody for completing the poll. And it was overwhelmingly leaning towards Copilot and ChatGPT. So I've tried to take general, but at the same time appropriate and I hope helpful um, use cases. Um, Pay attention to the prompts. So in this first round, first step here, I want to use Copilot as a research and insight accelerator. So what I've done is, okay, demonstration documents, when you see something here, if you can see my screen, demo 2A, that was actually created by AI. So my very lengthy report that I want Copilot to summarize was created by AI, not Copilot, but it was created by AI. Pay attention to the prompt. You are a senior business analyst, could be a senior financial modeler. Summarize this document in 5 structured bullet points focused on risks and opportunities relevant to a mid-sized South African retail business. Use plain language, no jargon. I find that these things, oh, they love talking. Anyway, so that was my prompt. Here is a plain language risk opportunity focused summary of my report tailored to a South African market. So remember, I've said 5 structured bullet points focused on risk and opportunity. So I'm not going to read through all of this. I don't think that is necessary. So, but interesting, digital tools can cut costs and improve service, can improve customer experience. Retail is catching up digitally. Better data can improve pricing. The report that it created was something to do with the current state of AI in South Africa. Regulation is still manageable. I actually heard somebody say yesterday that we might feel that there's not enough regulation when it comes to, for example, blockchain AI in South Africa. This person was in the UK or is in the UK, and he said, you know what? They've got beautiful policies, but nothing has actually been implemented. The policies have been approved, but there's been no actual, it's not been implemented. Okay, and as always, it asks you, shall I go another few steps further? Now I'm saying to it, so I'm research, insight. So we've summarized. I'm following up here because I want to know a little bit more. Point 3 was of interest. So I say, can you expand on the third point? Give me 2 to 3 specific examples that a South African business would recognize. And what competitors who move faster will pull ahead looks like in practice. Example 1, example 2, example 3, and it gives us a summary. So, and now we can go further. I typically, because it's me, I often would say, okay, now summarize this for me in a table format. I just, especially with a summary, I understand and remember better if something is in a table format. So I can at this point say, yeah, just put all of this together in a table format. You can ask basically anything you want. Of course, relevant to what you're busy doing. Next, I have uploaded, shared, attached two further documents. The one has got like a neutral opinion on something, and the other one is negative. And then I said, okay, I've attached two sources. Please compare them. What themes do they have in common? Where do they contradict each other? Which source is more cautious and why? Again, the source. Both of them were prepared by AI. Below, side-by-side analytical comparison. Themes both sources have in common. Common ground. It's actually quite well structured. And you can ask further, list key points if you really want to. Skills and people matter more than technology. Where the sources contradict each other. Infrastructure risk. So I think, in my opinion, now remember, it's not gone out and searched for information. It's using the internal source. And I can, in general, not stop talking about, if you're unsure, sanitize, create static data. Do not use. I've seen some sensitive material and even ID numbers, documents with ID numbers being uploaded into ChatGPT as a demonstration. And yeah, so we're creating we've received this some comparison. Now let's turn it into a briefing note. So we've received the insight as we asked, turn it into a briefing note. Using the summary you just produced, create a one-page briefing note. It should have 4 sections: context, key findings, risks to watch, and recommended next steps. Keep the tone professional but concise, suitable for a senior executive who has 3 minutes to read it. And once again, given us what but we have to check this, huh? We have to verify it. It can make, and it does make mistakes. I once had to do market research, and feedback I got actually said that the company was closed or is closing. And luckily, before putting a report together and telling the client that his competitor is closing, we phoned, and no, it was completely wrong information. So I'm asking you, what tasks, put it in the chat, what task would you happily give to an AI assistant today or tomorrow? Think about it. What tasks are you comfortable in sharing? Okay, next round. Let's use it as a strategic thinking partner. I've got a scenario. I'll read that out. A mid-sized South African retail chain is considering expanding into Mozambique. The analyst has been asked to prepare a recommendation for the executive committee. She is preparing her thinking before the presentation. We want to challenge the idea, find the blind spots. I'm a business analyst preparing a recommendation for our executive committee. The proposal is for a South African retail chain to expand into Mozambique. Play devil's advocate. What are the top 5 risks associated, top 5 risks with this strategy? Be specific to the South African context. Then list 3 questions the executives are most likely to ask that I should be prepared to answer. Have you ever had that situation where you get asked unexpected questions that you haven't been prepared for, that you didn't think that people would ever ask it? You've got to think on your feet. Okay, prepare for it. Top 5 risks of expanding a South African retail chain into Mozambique. Forex, cash repatriation, logistics, regulatory land use complexity, demand overestimation, political reputational risk. Yeah, there's recently, not too long ago, been unrest. So, 3 executive level questions you should be ready to answer. Remember, that's what I've asked. What make this fail even if the market grows? How reversible is this decision if conditions deteriorate? Why Mozambique now, not another SADC market? And it even tells me how to use this in my Exco presentation. I'm saying, but the team is committed to expansion but wants to explore alternatives to a full Mozambique market entry. Suggest 3 alternative approaches we may not have considered. For example, partnership models, phased entry, or adjacent markets. For each, give a 1-line description, 1 key advantage, 1 key risk. And it's done quite well. It's given me the information. I can keep on asking. Remember, I can keep on asking. But it's given me valuable information here in order to help me to prepare. Let's further anticipate what could be asked. The board can be asking me. I need to present this Mozambique expansion recommendation to a panel that includes a risk-averse CFO, a growth-focused CEO, and a board member who is skeptical about African expansion. For each person, give me their likely first objection and the one argument most likely to persuade them. Keep short responses, 2 to 3 sentences. But remember, this is now where human judgment comes in. Does this look right? I mean, to me it looks okay, but I'll definitely have a long think about this. Can I fine-tune this? Should I ask further questions? Can I ask why? You can never ask why too many times. So where should the line be between AI's assistance and human judgment in strategic work? Anybody put it in the chat? Share your opinion. What this is about, not just me talking. Okay, ChatGPT. Something completely different. An analogy. Give me an unconventional analogy, ideal from sport, nature, or history. I've moved on. Sort of same topic, just to a different platform. I'm now in ChatGPT. Unconventional analogy, ideal from sport, nature, or history that captures why a South African retailer expanding into Mozambique could fail if they move too fast without understanding the local market. Make it memorable enough to use in a boardroom presentation. Safari. Why? What? Boardroom line. Rugby. Historical. Napoleon didn't lose the invasion of Russia because he lacked power. Okay, I wouldn't have chosen Russia at this point in time. He lost because he moved too fast into terrain he didn't understand. Anyway, that is AI for you. Find something more suitable. I don't think this is very appropriate here. But anyway, it will be appreciated by all. So yes, steer away. Rewrite the following recommendation as if you were a skeptical management consultant who disagrees with the Mozambique expansion. I'm brainstorming. I'm having a communication, a conversation. I enjoy doing this with AI. Who disagrees with the Mozambique expansion? What would your counter argument be? Make it rigorous, not just negative. Suggest what evidence would change your mind. Okay, this was my choice because it says rewrite the following recommendation. This is mine. Mozambique and South Africa are neighboring countries, and other South African corporates are already operating there. A skeptical management consultant would likely challenge the logic and counter argument. Presence of other South African corporates should not be interpreted as proof of opportunity, so it is being critical. What evidence would change this view? I think this is valuable information. I'm not saying use as is. I'm saying to think about. So, questions I can ask you. If AI could remove one task from your weekly workload, what would you choose? Where in your current workflow would AI be your best strategic sidekick? And where would it make the biggest difference? You know, there are so many questions that we can ask. But keep on asking and don't be shy to ask about the why. And now I'm just finding my slides. Business of stop starting. Slides. Okay, now I need to find. Just sharing again where we stopped. So, as I say, ask why. When you get an answer from AI, ask why that answer. That normally helps in verifying, determining whether the answer is actually suitable, whether it is correct. just the other day, I built a dashboard and it looked absolutely wonderful. And then I said, is this live data? A lot of thinking, and the answer came back, some yes, some no. I could have just accepted all of this as what I had there as as live data. And no, it wasn't. It wasn't current. It was actually static data. So there's a widespread myth that you need to learn complex prompt engineering formulas to get value out of AI. I see the latest prompt framework is called COCO, C-O-C-O. That simply isn't true, in my opinion. Remember, I'm also sharing my opinion. Effective prompting is just the outward expression of clear, structured thinking. Look at the table on your screen. A weak prompt, like tell me about the market entry strategies, yields a generic Wikipedia-style answer. It's a symptom of vague thinking. A strong prompt, however, sets the stage. It specifies the industry, the audience, and exactly what kind of analysis is needed. Improving your prompts requires the exact same mental effort as improving your core strategic thinking. Anatomy of an effective prompt. Specify the role. And remember, the more you use a specific AI model, it gets used to you. It learns from you the same way that it learns and it fetches data from out there in the big universe. It also learns from you. And I actually found that I can say less over the years that I've been using it. I've actually started making my prompts shorter. And think about this. And remember, I always bring data into the picture. What is your data pyramid, Dikwa? Who, what, where, why, when, how? Answer that. Move from data to information to knowledge to wisdom. So keep on asking all those questions, with why being the most important. Role, act as a skeptical senior analyst reviewing this proposal. Task, and identify the 3 assumptions most likely to be wrong. Context, this is for a board presentation in a risk-averse financial services firm. Make sure of the words you also use. I've said already, by saying this is cool, will be most likely be interpreted by AI as temperature, not as in nice. Constraints, respond in plain language, no more than 1 page. Avoid jargon. Prioritize risks by likelihood, not severity. Flag anything hard to defend. Criteria. What I have done, Chrisan, would you mind putting the link to the shared drive in the chat? What I have done is I've put the 3 static documents, the summary one plus the comparison, those documents plus a copy of the slide deck, and are all the prompt framework. I cannot remember things like cocoa and things like that. To me, it's very simple. Who, what, where, why, when, and how. If I address all of that in a prompt, I normally get what I need. So I think that's a thank you from my side. Timing-wise, I hope it's good. And yes, Chrisan mentioned about the academy. What I've done is I believe that there's a lack of data literacy, digital fluency, and basic data analytics in Excel. So what I've done is I've created a course on data literacy, also on digital literacy and AI. Yes, tonight is AI fluency only, but there it's combined. The Excel course goes from beginner to statistical analysis using your what if. I said it to somebody today, financial services field. If you do a financial plan for a client, a financial analysis for a client, I have honestly not come across one single financial advisor that's done a what if analysis or forecasting. I'm not talking about using a FNA platform tool. I'm talking about basic forecasting and what if? What if this happens? What if that happens? To me, those things are so natural. So yes, that is, I've studied a lot. I've done many an Excel course from beginner to so-called expert. I use Python quite a bit in Excel, also in Power BI. So this course that I've put together is bits and pieces that I couldn't find all together in one course. So that's what I've done. And then there's a little, sorry, it sounds like I'm advertising, but anyway, I thought it was interesting. There's also a little ebook. I've taken business analysis methodology, combined it with data analytics, created the framework, and it's for small business, well, for anybody, but yeah, no, maybe not for a corporate, but individuals, you can apply it as you wish. So yeah, there's some QR codes, I believe they work. And whatever you might find in the store, there's been no external anybody involved. It's been me and my assistant and her daughter. So it's homemade. And maybe I can by now actually find the camera and switch it on. So thank you. Are there any questions? Hello?
Thank you,
Can I
Anna.
jump in?
Yeah, go for it, Aubrey.
Sorry. So Liana, when you started, you mentioned that getting good answers from AI when you are doing an input of your prompts, it's the key to getting good answers. So good prompts are equal to good answers in a sense. So the question is, how does one make sure that the prompts they are putting in are actually of good quality, and is there a way to know, or is it just going to depend on the answers that you get?
Like I said, I use the approach of who, what, where, why. You know, when they say, who are you? You know, I'm a business analyst, I'm a financial advisor, I'm a engineer. I use that type of approach, but my memory is who, what, where, why, and how. I often, if I am uncertain, I actually say, please confirm what you understand from this prompt or the instruction. That I do, and I also often say, this is what I want to achieve. What's the best prompt to use? So just communicate with it and then test it. And I also sometimes find that, and look, I use four models. I use ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, and Claude. because of different jobs and types of work that I do. I do deep research very often. So yes, summarizing is part of my life, and analysis. Um, so keep on trying. And if you've got access to more than one model or platform, repeat the question. Let the one check the answer of the other one. So, look, I don't try and write fancy things. I keep it simple. If I can understand, then, and if I'm unsure if I say something correctly, ask, do you understand what I'm saying here? Or explain what I'm asking. Just ask. Any other questions, comments?
So I was going to say, I've often found that it all depends on, you've got to do your upfront homework. What do you want to use it for? Okay, so intent. And then some of those models also, it depends on, I know, when we started out, like Claude was very good at data. When you start the comparisons and you've got two different sheets that you want to compare and you want to do a concatenation between columns, quite nifty. And then it depends. Some are good at building a framework and constructing research information. For example, in the studies that I did last year, one thing I did pick up in on the animal behavior side of things, there's not a lot of research or information out there yet from an AI model perspective. So I sort of had to, when I built those assignments, you hop between these models to try and see where the level of detail is just to get to a structure. So I really think it's important to just what you intend, what do you want out of it, and then again follow those basic rules and play them off against each other. It's also a good thing to get a better understanding um, as to what's going to work for you.
Indeed. Look, practice makes perfect. By the way, I promised myself I won't forget. Copilot. I find if I stay in one chat, and I'm not sure, ask if you don't understand what I'm saying. I keep on carrying on like we did the summary tonight, and then I carry on. I can make a table, and then I go to the next, and you actually run out of chat, if I can put it that way.
Yes.
It says
Yes.
you've got to start a new chat. Now, I sort of have a feeling for when it's going to be too long. But what I recommend is the minute it tells you that you've now asked too many questions, we need to move to a new chat. What I would then normally do if that happens is take the last output from it, because it would normally say to you, move to a new chat when you've put in a new prompt. Copy the last output plus your prompt, and when you start the new chat, don't just assume it's going to pick up. Paste the answer and say, this was your last answer. This is my new prompt. Let's carry on.
Yes.
Yeah.
I often do that. And what's nice is, if you specifically on a specific subject, to use the same tool because it builds that history and legend along it. So, when I start asking ChatGPT, remember we spoke about something, 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 you're very specific and you could reference it, it will go and find and pick it up from there. You've got to check it, obviously, because it might be a month later, but it starts building that collateral in the tool itself. So when you want to go back and say, oh, shucks, I want to continue on something that we discussed last week, or I had a question for last week, you can pick it up um, from that previous research and continue it. But that's in the same tool because it's already built the framework around it.
Absolutely. But bottom line is find your comfort,
Yes.
comfortable spot, your way of communicating with AI. You will, by practicing, and I get fed up sometimes, and then I move to the next one and I repeat everything. Um, or I verify with the other one and say, critique this
Yes.
this result. Um, just keep on practicing and say, no, that's not what I asked you. Yeah, on ChatGPT you can do.
Yes.
Andriette, what I actually had to do, because yes, I like to experiment, and we're a little bit over time here. Let me be quick. I like to experiment, and people post on LinkedIn say, take this prompt exactly as is. Or it says, go and put in your preferences as in what tone and. And I was experimenting. And the next minute it was, I don't know, it was an article or some analysis that I was doing. And this thing was not, it was like it's gone cuckoo. It's doing exactly opposite of what I actually wanted. So to make a long story short, I have moved almost 100% to projects. So I can then, I took everything to default, apart from choosing the exact model, 5.2 or 5.4 or something, or thinking. I've got, I wiped out 100% the memory and created projects. And that project is for writing an article. That one is for research. So per type of activity or job that I'm doing, I use a project. And in that way, and one of the instructions of the project is that typical what happens in Rome stays in Rome. Okay, what happens here stays here. So if I ask it to do a sound in a certain way, that is ring fenced for that specific project. Now you can do it in Claude. I don't think we can do it Copilot. No, Copilot's got notebooks, very helpful. Load up your sources. I recently did it for with a new budget. So if I want to quickly see what's the tax tables, discretionary allowance, those type of things. A notebook can help, but I think I'm not sure about Copilot and Gemini. Gemini's got gems, but that's not really a project. Mbali, we're running late here.
Yeah, no, I'll be
But as
short.
long as
So if
everybody's
anyone
having
can,
fun. Mbali.
sorry about that. No, if anyone can just help Andriette. So she says on ChatGPT, you can do that by creating a project. You can continue the prompt and it will continue with the history and keep the context. So she's just wanting to know if anyone has more information on how it works.
I'm reading the on the chat. You
Okay.
can do that ring fence. Yeah, what I'm trying to explain, you can continue with the prompt, you continue the prompt and it will continue with the history and keeps, yeah, within. Now, what I do is I say, let's grab an example. You writing a research article, um, and I take, my project is named research, for example. There I've got instructions. I need to sound like a professor. Um, all sorts of instructions that you want to give it. You can upload knowledge. Um, and yes, and then you say, this is now ring fenced for this specific project. So then it won't go, or it shouldn't go and fetch from other projects. Yes, in ChatGPT, I work 99% in projects because of this problem. In the closest you can get in Copilot to a project is an agent. You can create an agent and then do something similar. You don't have to publish the agent. That, yeah, in Copilot, you can do an agent. Andrea, does that answer your question?
Yes, thanks. No, because it's
Yes.
exactly like you said, because I used the project specifically for not really for research much, but when I have to write something, because if I don't do it like that, it's almost like it loses the context and then just lump everything else from the other chats in the results, which is what I don't want.
Well, yes, mine started ignoring me because it took one of those sample prompts and I got terrible results. That's why I wiped the memory. I don't mind keeping the memory on in my case, but yes, what you've done is exactly right. As a matter of fact, I've got a project in ChatGPT called brainstorming. There it can fetch from wherever it wants as long as it stays within that project. And there I can, have general conversations, jump from topic to topic. Yeah, I mean, create as many projects as you want and as many chats within a project. And yes, that project has then, I would, let's call it, it's got its own rules and personality. And then create another one because you want it to be friendly and the other one you want it to be critical. Create another project. I think you're doing it right, Henriette.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I think that is going to wrap it up. Well done. Thank you so much, Liana. And I think everyone's got your details. We'll connect with you if there's any more information or questions on that need some answering. Yeah, I think that was great to hear and really enjoyed the use cases. Thank you so much for sharing that knowledge. All right.
And thank you for using your well-deserved break to come and hold my hand here.
You are welcome.
Thank you, everybody. And yes, please reach out. You've got my contact details. Just reach out, drop me a message. Thank you. And I'm now going to have coffee. Enjoy the rest of the
Alrighty.
evening. I'll
Good
stop the
night.
recording.
Thanks, Liana. Okay.
Thanks, Leah.
Bye-bye.